Okay, so this is session 2 of our one-day all-in-one training. So during session 1, we talked about what your expectations are going to be using Canvas, given that students are going to be in and out of the classroom as you teach. We've talked about setting up your Canvas account. If you had a student account and you let me know, I've already updated that to a teacher account, so you can go ahead and try and add that Sandbox course. We've gone through the main navigation items. You've looked at the dashboard, the calendar, your courses, the inbox, and then I've shown you how to get to some additional training materials. So the Canvas course guides and the training services portals specifically. So at this point, I'm going to assume that everybody has created a Sandbox. If you have not created your Sandbox for whatever reason, do not do this next step, or Canvas is going to think you're a student. So if you've already created your Sandbox, we're going to go back to the login page. Okay, so for instance, we're going to go back to the main More Schools. We are going to go to the EdTech page where you accessed the calendar for this Zoom. Okay. So this is educational technology. Educational technology is different than IT in that this is teaching you how to integrate technology and software into your classroom, whereas IT is more break fix. My projector doesn't work, I'm having trouble with my login information, that type of stuff. So what you're going to see is the PDPie the pool, and that's what this is. So that's the first thing that pops up on the screen. And you're going to click this plus button, and I'll put a direct link to this in the Zoom chat as well. So let me go ahead and copy this link. So if you have trouble accessing it later. We are going to enroll you in the elementary training, Canvas training course. So you're going to click on this. If you're secondary, you're going to go ahead and click on the secondary Canvas course training. And you are going to enroll in this course as a student. Now it says I'm already enrolled in this. So if it says that for you, then you've already got it. You're going to go to your dashboard and you should be able to see it. This is going to be access to any past training and any future training that EdTech has designed specifically for you. So let me go to my courses because I think I took this one off of my favorites. All right, so there's the MPS Elementary Canvas Training course. All right, so this is where you're going to be access training videos that Andre has already created that are more specific. So these are a list of all the training videos. And as I go through this, I'm going to kind of touch on each thing because you're now acting as a student. So this would actually be a great opportunity to show you what it looks like for the student. So when your student logs in, they're going to see a bunch of cards on their dashboard that are courses that they're enrolled in. You are currently enrolled as a student in the MPS Canvas training course. Okay, so if you teach 3rd grade, then your student would see your 3rd grade card and they would click on that to start your course. Now, what we're seeing here is a home page. So this is a web style, clickable, graphic interface that you can use to interact with your students. Now remember, you're elementary. Canvas was designed for older kids, but it works well with younger kids. And so elementary teachers all over the United States are logging onto Canvas for the first time, using it in a new way, and that is distance learning with elementary kids. So you obviously do not want to take your elementary kids and show them, here are all of your assignments. This is not a great interface for kindergartners or 1st graders. So you're going to want to come up with something that is a clickable graphical interface. So we looked at a couple of those in the Canvas Commons, the elementary homepage templates, but it's kind of going to be the same thing. Your graphics do not have to be fancy. You do not have to create a Bitmoji classroom like some people are doing. You do not have to use, PowerPoint or anything fancy. You just need pictures, and I'll show you in a second how to add the pictures that you can click on to take you to different parts of your Canvas course. All right. So this is designed for teachers. So when I click on the training videos, these are what we call modules. Modules are kind of like your organizational lesson plan. You can organize your modules however you want. There's a lot of discussion. Every day has its own module. Every subject has its own module. Every week has its own module. That's completely up to you. If you lesson plan by the day, you should probably have a module by the day. If you lesson plan by the chapter, then you're probably going to want to organize your modules by the chapter. Don't change what you're doing. So if you found something that organizationally works for you, continue that. So you can see here when you log into this particular enrollment form, these are all of the videos for more detailed information on what I've covered in this first session. So there's the profile and the notifications, the dashboard, cross-listing, you're not going to use until you get your courses. So once you get your rostered courses on August 8th, I think that's when they're going out, then you should come in here and watch the video on how to cross-list. So these are all amazing videos that Andre has put together. These are some PDFs on how to use image mapping. This is for those really fancy home pages, okay? The rich content editor, which we will go over. These are great videos that you can watch when you need them, okay? And we're going to go through some of this. So this is kind of what you're going to be building, all right? So we're going to go back to the dashboard, and we're going to open up our sandbox, and I'm going to show you a couple of things here. All right, so we're going to start with home pages. Home pages are where everybody kind of gets a little bogged down and not really sure where to start. So this is your sandbox, or this is my sandbox. Yours will look exactly the same. Your sandbox is going to be blank content. It's not going to have any information on it, but it has a whole bunch of options over here on the left, okay? Now, if you're teaching kindergarten, you don't want the kindergartners to go into a chat room, correct? So you're probably going to want to disable chats. You really don't need the students to be able to see rubrics or standards, okay? They don't need to see all of your personal files. So we're going to clean this up real quick. So we're going to come down here to settings. Now these are all of the different settings that you have for your Canvas course. You can choose an image for your Canvas course. You can either upload one that you already have, or Unsplash. It's not the greatest, but it's a real easy, let's see, way to get some copyright-free pictures. So if you're an ELA teacher, you might want to have your course with some books. You can find images on the internet, images that you've taken, and as long as they're copyright-free, you can add them to your course images. So that's how on the dashboard, we've gotten some images that are kind of fancy, okay? So now you can see instead of just that purple background, it actually has an image. All right, so keep going through the settings. You can give your sandbox, you can change the name. Once you get your rostered courses with your students, you're not going to have as much flexibility. It's going to say 3rd grade, Mrs. Robinson, and that's about all you're going to be able to do. It's kind of the Infinite Campus code. Okay, and here's some just simple information. You can go through here and update this however you want. If you have copyrighted files that you're putting in here, or you want your stuff copyrighted, you can go ahead and click this, and you can make sure that everything is nice and copyright free. Remember that Canvas is kind of an enclosed course. Only Canvas students that are enrolled in more public schools can access these files. So fair use education policies apply to your Canvas materials. Any material that the district has purchased, textbooks or district curriculum, can be added to here. Anything that you have personally purchased on Teacher Pay Teacher or any external resource can put on here. So it kind of gives you a little bit of bubble, a little bit more so than just a website. Okay, so fair use definitely applies here more than normal.
I have a question about that. If we use things from Teacher Pay Teacher and things like that, is there a button that we have to click that's talking about copyright, things like that?
Not really. Be careful though, if you bought a single license to a Teacher Pay Teacher curriculum and you're going to be sharing your course with 5 other teachers in your building, make sure that you're aware that you can get a site license or a multi-use license. You can usually just contact the original poster and say, hey, how much would it be if, you know, me and 3 of my other teachers want to go in together and use this? So you can always email mpsedtech@mooreschools.com if you have any specific copyright questions, and they can walk you through that. I'm not a copyright expert, and I don't want to give you, you know, information that's going to get anybody in trouble, but you do have a little bit more protection because it's not an open source website. Okay. Now, this last one down here, this more options, they hide this, but sometimes this information is really important. So I'm just going to touch on it for a second. So if you are doing a club, it's not a rostered course, or if you are doing something like speech or OT or ELL, where you may or may not have a rostered course, or you're special ed and you pull kids out, you can, if you want, let students self-enroll. So instead of having a roster, they'll just have a URL click. So you can send an email to them and they can click on it, enroll it, or you can enroll them manually. I would do this more for maybe 5th or 6th grade for those after school clubs. Okay. Let's see, showing recent announcements. I would definitely go ahead and click that so that you don't have to worry about your announcements not being seen. The last 3 announcements or the last 2 announcements or whatever are just going to automatically show up. All right. Let's see. This one though, you need to check. So go ahead and write this one down. Where it says hide totals in student grades summary, go ahead and click that. And here's the reason. IC is our grade reporting software. Eligibility, pass-fail, state reporting, all of that is through IC. The grades on Canvas are simply going to be assignment-based grades. They are not going to have any legal bearing on whether a student is passing or failing your course. So you don't want to have, you know, partial grades on Canvas that show that your student has an A, but on IC they have an F because they have a bunch of missing assignments because they were gone. And all of a sudden the parent goes, oh, well, I thought my student had an A. So this will hide that average score, okay? If you don't see these options, I will come back and look at your account. So just make a note in chat just the way you did. Excellent. So we want to go ahead and hide those grade totals. We do want the students to see their actual grades on the assignments, and we want the parents to see the grades on the assignments so that they know what's going on if they're helping their student through that particular contact. But for right now, we only want grade totals and grade summaries to be in the IC format, okay, with Parent Portal. All right, and you can also hide the grade distributions. They shouldn't really be able to see that, okay? All right, so that's that first tab of the settings. And there actually was one thing in the comment, and that's a good point. So if you can't see those way over here in this teeny tiny little more options, that's what you have to click to get to the more options for the course. I don't know why these are hidden. It doesn't seem like it would be too much to just leave at the bottom, but they did. So just that little bitty option right there. All right, so continuing on. This is sections. So this is where you're going to be able to combine courses. So at the secondary level, I had 2 preps. I taught 2 different math courses. I had 3 of one and 1 of another, or 3 of one and 2 of another. And instead of having 5 individual courses, I combined all of my geometry classes into one card, and I combined all of my intermediate algebra classes into one card. So if you did this, you would see multiple sections listed here. And this is that cross-listing video that Andre has in the class that you just enrolled in, the MPS Elementary Canvas Training course. So if you have multiple classes and you want to combine them, this is where you would do that. I'm not going to go into this today because none of you actually have multiple courses, so you don't have anything to play with. But I do want you to go back and look at those videos on how to combine sections. Now, contained classes, special ed. This is going to be something where combining these sections is going to be up to you. So let's say that you're in a second grade and you teach second grade math, science, art, ELA, reading. You're going to get 5 different sections from Infinite Campus. The students are going to be the same, but the subjects are different. If you want to leave those in separate courses, you may. If you want to combine those all into a Mrs. A's second grade class, you can do that as well. So that's something that you can decide with your team. So if you have 4 second grade teachers, it would be best if maybe all of you did the same thing. That would help you share material and share organizational ideas. But this is where that option would happen. Okay, navigation. All right, this is where I wanted to go. Long route to get there. So on the left, you have a whole bunch of options, and that's too much for an elementary student. They don't need access to all of these. If it has an eyeball with a line through it, that means that if you looked at it as a student, you wouldn't see that option, and it tells you why. Right now, the students wouldn't see the announcements tab because we haven't created any announcements. The students wouldn't see the assignment tab because we have no content. We have no assignments. However, I don't necessarily need the students to be able to see all of my assignments or all of my announcements. So this is where I can limit what the students see. It doesn't limit what I have access to. I'm still going to be able to make announcements and edit my announcements and organize my announcements, but I don't need the students to see that. So I'm going to disable it from the navigation menu. I still have access to it, but the students can't click on that. Same thing with assignments. Remember, everything that you guys do is primarily going to be through Pages in those nice, easy, clickable links. The students are still going to have access to their assignments, but they're not going to have access to all of the assignments all at once in a big, long list. Okay? You're probably not going to use discussions for kindergartners or 4th graders. You do want to leave the grades tab open. This is a good way for the students to see what they made on different assignments and for the parents to kind of see what they made on individual assignments. It's not going to show that summary. You do not want them having access to people. You do not need them to have access to Pages unless that's something that you want to publish, but let's go ahead and disable that. They don't need to see all your files. You will need a syllabus. So just like you had to have a syllabus on that first day of school, the meet the teacher, what to expect, the information that you had on your web page, which is no longer required, can all be within the syllable tab of your course. The syllabus tab will also keep track of announcements as they're assigned, so it kind of keeps a running total. Outcomes are the standards. You can get rid of that. Students don't need to see the rubrics. They don't need access to all of your quizzes. So you're really going to simplify this for the students. Okay, conferences is like parent-teacher conferences, but we use the PTFC, parent-teacher, PTC, something like that. Calibrations is going to be a secondary. You do not want your kids chatting. You do not want your kids chatting. You do not want your kids chatting. Okay, we all saw what happened with some of the group Zoom meetings over the summer, so just go ahead and disable this. If we get into a situation where you need to turn anything back on, you absolutely can. Okay, so you can always go back in here and turn stuff on. We don't do attendance in Canvas, we do it in IC. They don't need access to their Office 365. New Analytics is something that we don't really use. GradeSync is something only you're going to use. Google Drive. And then obviously we're going to leave Clever because you guys are going to use Clever. So these are really all the students are going to have to need access to. So we really cleaned that up a lot. So this is a big step in taking something that was designed for secondary and simplifying it down to elementary kids. All right, so now this part I forget every time, but I'm gonna remember it this time. We're gonna save these changes. Otherwise we have to do this all over again. Okay, so now I still have all of these settings. However, the students are no longer going to see them. It says disabled, not visible to students. These are the only things that the students are going to see. And so that's going to make it a lot easier for them to navigate this. All right. Next part of settings is apps. So Canvas allows you to integrate a lot of different external tools into your Canvas page. There are hundreds and hundreds. Don't just start piling through here, because one thing that you're going to do is you're going to be like, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. A lot of these, like BrainPop, are subscription based. So if you have a BrainPop subscription, you can add your BrainPop to your Canvas. If you have Cengage Learning, if you use Cengage online textbooks, you can link it in. But some of these are going to be paid for, not all of them. So if you have a paid for account, go ahead and search on here and see if you can add it in. But the one that we're going to use, and we're going to use it a lot, is going to be YouTube. So I want everybody to add the YouTube app to your course. Now, here's the great thing about the YouTube app. When you go to YouTube in your classroom, it's a Russian roulette. You never know what videos are going to pop up on the right side. You never know what ads are going to pop up. You never know what the next suggested video might be. So it's a little scary. And especially with elementary kids, anything we can do to keep their experience within the Canvas content, within the Canvas enclosure, is going to keep them protected. Anytime we ask them to go to an external website, scary things can happen. So this allows us to do things like embed YouTube videos within the Canvas. So they never have to leave the Canvas app. They never have to get onto Google Chrome or Internet Explorer to access external content. That's what we want to try and minimize. Now, this option right here is called the redirect tool. This is what you would use if you want them to click onto another app. So if you have another video or another service that you want to use, you would use this redirect tool, and you would simply add a URL to another app. So you could add Khan Academy if you wanted them to go to Khan Academy. So instead of them having to click on a URL link, they would use this redirect. And it pretty much goes in everything. But you want to make sure that you have it showing course navigation, okay? So that they keep this within the Canvas content. All right, and there's some other apps that are already installed. So you have Google Apps, you have Office 365, Pearson is a textbook link that's installed, but the YouTube you're going to use quite a lot. All right, last one here is feature options. These are things that Canvas has created. They're kind of like improvements or Canvas 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 that some educators want to use and some educators don't. So they make them options, okay? So for instance, EPUB exporting, Learning Mastery Gradebook, we're not going to use these, so we're just gonna leave these as disabled. There's two that I want you to turn on, okay? The first one is I want you to come down to, oh, it's already set. So new quizzes is available, we'll go over those. Rich Content Editor Enhancements. RCE stands for Rich Content Editor. This is the Dummies Guide to Creating a Web Page. So you're going to want to turn that on. And it's going to make some of these web page buildings super easy so you can create all that content. Okay. Now, this one here, Canvas Elementary Theming, you can turn that on if you want. It's going to change some of the fonts to make them a little bit more elementary cutesy looking, but it really doesn't do a lot. You can kind of play with that if you want. I usually just leave it off. So, all right, and then that one saves automatically. Okay, so far we really haven't done a lot of building, have we? We've gone through all of our settings. We've gone through the dashboard. So now let's take a look at actually creating a course. So here's where you start. There's a couple of different ways to do it. I personally like to start with our district pacing calendar or my lesson plans, depending upon which one you use. And I like to work within modules to get everything started, because what it's going to do is it's going to build my organization first. Some people will start with a home page first and create their links and how they're going to have everything done. But for me, I like to have my organization set first. And then that home page is kind of like the icing on top. That's where I get everything kind of pretty. You know, over the summer, you don't work on your bulletin boards. Over the summer, you work on your content. When you get to school, those couple of days before the students get there, that's when you start working on your bulletin board. Think of your homepage kind of like that bulletin board. It's going to be where you tie everything together, but you need to create your content first, okay? So we're going to start with modules. So you're going to click on the modules button on your navigation menu. Now the students are not going to see this. This is going to be where you create your lesson plan. So I'm going to create a new module. Now remember, how you organize this is up to you. You can do it by the day, you can do it by the week, you can do it by the chapter. Generally speaking, the lower the grade level, the more modules you may have, just because you teach more content, more different content within a day. So if you're doing kindergarten, you may do Monday, 8/13 or whatever day. You can do week 1 Monday, or you can just do week 1. Now, this lock until allows you to work ahead with creating your modules without the students having access to it. So we are going to say things like publish and unpublish. Anything that is published, the students can see and have access to. You can create all the content that you want. And if your content or your module or your course is not published, your students won't see it. So my rule of thumb is I publish everything, and then I use this lock until so that I don't forget to turn it on later. So week 1, you probably don't want the students to see that until August 13th. Okay, you can use that calendar button. And then August 13th, they're going to see that module, and anything that you have in it is going to be published. Okay, so this module is blank, and you can even go in and you can create week 1, week 2. So week 2, we're going to lock until the 20th. Now, once you do your second module, you can use prerequisites. I probably wouldn't for you guys unless you think your kids might skip around and do stuff out of order. So I can say I don't want them to start week 2 until they have finished week 1. So now week 2 module has a prerequisite. They have to finish week 1. Distance learning situation, this can be very helpful, especially if you have a student that's been out for 2 or 3 weeks and they're trying to get everything caught up all at once. This will keep them from jumping ahead or going to the wrong part, okay? So we can just come in, lock until, and create our modules. So we're basically just creating the blueprint for our courses. Let's see. Okay. All right, now let's start creating content. So let's say week 1, day 1, students come in. Let's think about what that day looks like. You're probably going to have a copy that you give to the parents, meet the teacher. an all about me assignment for the students to fill out. Maybe you're going to have a little questionnaire. How do you get to school? How do you get home? Those are all things that you're going to need to create. So we're going to use this little plus button up here at the top of week 1 module, and we're going to start building it. We can add assignments. Assignments are going to be any item that has a due date, anything that you want back or you want feedback from, okay? You can do a quiz. Really cool thing about a quiz is it doesn't have to be an assessment. A quiz can be an assignment or even a form or a survey, but it allows you to do those things like multiple choice. You can do a quiz, a first day quiz. How do you get to school? And your 3 multiple choice options could be parent drop off, daycare, or bus. You can put in the quiz for the first day of school, what bus do you ride? And they would type in their bus number. So quiz is not just for assessments. You can use quizzes for just about anything. Quizzes are great for assignments that you want to be self-grading. So if you have a math assignment, there's obviously right and wrong math answers. You can use a quiz and it will grade those answers for you and give feedback to the students. So we're going to go over more on that in session 3. This is the file one, maybe what you use quite frequently. So let's say you have that handout of Meet the Teacher. These are my classroom expectations. This is how to contact me. Basically that packet that you have for the parents at back to school night. So you're going to add a file. You don't have to have that file yet. You don't really have to have the assignment created. You're just doing this shell. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to randomly pick a PDF file. Okay, and I'm going to add that. So now that file is in the module. Okay, and I'm going to add another one. I'm going to add an assignment. And that assignment is going to be all about me. So I'm creating an all about me assignment and I add the item. I haven't actually created the assignment yet. I'm just creating a placeholder for that assignment. I may decide to do a quiz and I'm going to call that quiz, how do I get home? Or how do I get from school? I'm not actually creating the quiz, I'm just creating a placeholder. Okay, now, as you go through and do this, this is your lesson plan. This is where you organize. You can move stuff around. The one thing I want you to make sure is that every time you see one of these little circles, you just click on it and make sure it's green. Okay, we are going to make sure that stuff doesn't go out to the students until we want it to in some of our settings. Okay, question from the chat room. Do you have to set this up for every course that you make? The settings you do, and the modules you do, which is why it is great to combine courses. Okay, so that's going to limit the amount of work that you have to do. So let's say that you're a contained class. Well, week 1, you're going to be doing math, reading, science, and ELA. So one thing that you can add to these modules is you can add a text header. So you can add math. And that's going to create not an assignment, not a quiz, just a header. So here's math, and you can have all of your math work underneath that. You can also, if you're doing this by week, you can have Monday. I'm not sure why that option is coming up. Let's try this again. We're going to add a header that says Monday. Let's try. I'm not really sure what's going on. Interesting. Okay. Well, you can add different headers and you can create that organization however you want. And wonder what's going on there. Anyway, so this is where you're going to build basically your shell courses. Now, once we have these, we can actually go in and create these files, these assignments, these quizzes, okay? So let's see, let's do an assignment real quick. All right, so here is an assignment that we created all about me. Now that I've created the shell for it, I'm going to open it up and I'm actually going to create the assignment. So I'm going to come up here and choose edit. All right, so it needs a name, obviously. We're not going to use the mastery paths. This is a blank canvas. This is where you can put anything. You can create a web page looking clickable icons to put in here. You can type standard text. You can link to a file. So I'm going to kind of go through each of those different options for you. And again, you can make this as complicated or as simple as you want. Let's say you have a PDF document that you want to link in here so that the students simply answer the questions on the worksheet that you already have. So you're going to come over here to the picture of the document. You're going to insert a document. If you've already added it to your Canvas files, it's going to be under course documents. If you haven't, you'll need to upload it. Okay, so let's say we want to do a math worksheet. Okay, so I have an addition homework assignment that I got off of mathaids.com, and I'm simply going to add that to my assignment and submit it. So what it does is it's going to give me a little clickable link to that file that I want to add. Now, I want the students to be able to see it and not have to download it. So I'm going to click on that link I just created. I'm going to click Link Options. And I'm going to click over here on Automatically Open an Inline Preview. So whenever the students open up this assignment on Canvas, let me save this so you can see what it looks like. It's going to automatically show the entire PDF document. If it's multiple pages, it will show multiple pages. So think about this in a distance learning situation. Your parents are not going to have printers. They're either going to have their own personal devices, or the district is going to work with them to get a device that they can use. So the PDFs that you put on here, they're going to, very low tech, write their answers on a separate sheet of paper and take a picture and send you that picture. So they're still going to be using crayons. They're still going to be using pencils and papers. They're still going to be using manipulatives. They just may be using manipulatives that they have at home. So they're not going to be able to print this worksheet out. They're going to have to find some other way to get that back to you. Okay, so we're going to show them how to do that. Okay, I had a question. What did you click on to open up the assignment? All right, so I have this assignments tab and I have the modules. I can access it from either place. So here's the module I just created.
Okay.
I have the assignment that I created when I was building my module, and I'm just going to click on that assignment to access it.
Okay.
Okay. I can also access that directly through the assignments tab. All right, now we're going to edit it. We're going to continue editing it. These assignments have a lot of really cool features that may not seem very applicable yet, but they will get there. So here I've added a PDF document. Well, maybe my assignment is simply watch this video. So pbs.org, OETA, there are a bunch of organizations that have made sure that we have educational material to provide to the students in distance learning situations. So it could be that we have found a video somewhere that we want to add to our course. So let's see, I think I found one the other day on PBS. So you can go to PBS videos. Guys, OETA has done some amazing stuff recently on adding curriculum for the students. So let's see, come down here on science and nature. And there's some PBS Kids and all sorts of stuff. So if you find a video, let's say during PBS Kids, and you want to link it, you can either link this website. Okay.
Get ready for
We don't really
PBS
have
Kids
to
and
worry
Daniel
too
Tiger.
much about PBS Kids doing shares. So let's just go ahead and do that. We're going to click the website. We're going to copy it, and we're going to add that into our assignment. So we're going to add a link, and we want it to be PBS Kids Daniel. So now the kids have a link to watch that video. Now, some videos we can embed. So instead of clicking this link and sending them to PBS Kids, we can actually embed the video. And that's where that YouTube app comes in, all right? So instead of adding a link, you see I'm not sure why it's a plug. Really don't know why they chose that icon, but those are the apps that you've installed in your course. So we're gonna do a YouTube, and we're gonna embed a YouTube app. And we are going to search. So let's search for Jack Hanna. Maybe we want to put in a Jack Hanna video. We can come through and find a Jack Hanna video, or if we're younger, we could do something like, oh, what's a really good one for the little one? How about Bill Nye's, the science guy? Okay, so we can find some Bill Nye's videos that are age appropriate, and we can embed those directly into our course. Oh, I clicked on something I wasn't supposed to click on.
There he is.
Okay, so we're going to embed that. There we go. So now do you see the video is actually within the Canvas assignment? So the kids don't have to leave the website. So you can put a YouTube video, and then at the bottom you can be, tell me something you learned from the video. Now, as an assignment, we need to get something back from the kids. We need something to grade. So if we were in a classroom, we would just show this video on our smartboard screen, and then we would have an open discussion with the students that are in class on the things that were in the video. Well, if there's a remote situation, we still need to give them the same opportunities to watch that video and to discuss it or to think about it. So this might be an assignment that we create. We're going to give it some points. So we'll make this assignment worth 100 points. Now, this is something that you may choose to use, especially on the elementary level. You may have 25 students in the classroom and 1 student at home. You don't want to necessarily assign this to the 25 students that are in the classroom because they're in the classroom. So you can create assignment groups, and actually not here, down here, assignment groups for just those quarantine kids, or you can call it option 2. So you can create a list of students that aren't at school and only assign this stuff to them, but you still have to have it available. Okay, you can display the grade as points, which most of us are used to, but you can also set this as a complete incomplete. So if you're just getting completion credit for your work, I know a lot of elementary teachers, they just do, you know, smiley faces or check marks or gold stars. You can still do that in Infinite Campus or in Canvas. Now, here's the part that makes this distance learning. Submission type. When they're in the classroom, they finish the worksheet, they hand it back to you. They count to 100 in front of you, they get a grade. This is what makes distance learning. Okay, now I'm going to create an online submission type. I'm going to allow them either to text or to type the answer. So they could speak something to their grown-up and their grown-up would type it into the text response. I'm going to allow them to do a video media recording. So they could take their phone and they could record a video of themselves either answering the question or performing you know, say the sounds of the letters, skip count by 4s. So they can do that performance-based, or you can do a file upload. File upload is where they can take a picture of their piece of paper or their color sheet or their project, and they could submit it to you online. Allowed attempts, I would leave these as unlimited allowed attempts. These kids are going to really struggle the first couple of times they submit an assignment, and you don't want them going, oh, I tried to submit it, but the picture was fuzzy and now I can't submit it again. Just leave this as unlimited. You will see every attempt. So it's not like they can delete it and try again, but just give them that opportunity. So you can assign it just to the students that are absent, or you can assign it to everybody. So here, and this is another one of those things that's hard to show you in the example without students, but this assign to app. So let's say that you've combined your courses and you have math, reading, ELA, and science. And this is a science assignment. You only want to assign it to your science section so that when it syncs to Infinite Campus, it only puts it in the science gradebook. You don't want science grades going into your math gradebook. So this is where you would choose that individual section. By the same token, if you have 3 courses, let's say you teach 5th grade math, you can assign it to all 3 courses, or you can assign it just to one or another. Or you can assign this to individual students. So if you only have one student absent, you can simply type that student's name and it will only assign it to that one student. Okay, now this is set to default to always turn on. This is where you
eggs, sausage,
Campus.
you can make pancakes, or down in the
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mute.
deal, there's toaster waffles. So whatever.
All right, awesome. All right, I'm the only one that can't mute myself. And I used to do these trainings at home with my 4 teenagers, and it was quickly obvious that that was not a good idea. So don't worry if your kids pop in. We've all got kids at home, it's not a big deal. Or we have cats that interfere with the conversations too. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and at the very bottom, we are going to save this assignment. Oh. Make sure that we choose everyone. We're going to save this assignment. So now the student is going to see the worksheet, or if we have the video, they'll be able to watch the video and they'll be able to answer the questions. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through what this looks like on a student side, and then I'm going to show you another resource that you can use. All right, so we're going to go back to home, and I want you to use this as often as you can. The student view, because we can create all of this wonderful stuff, but if it doesn't work for the student, or if the student can't see it, or if it looks different, then it doesn't really help us. Okay, so on the student view, they're going to see week 1, and I have it locked until August 13th. So that's not going to help me. So let me go back to this real quick. And I'm going to unlock that module real quick so that we can see it. All right, so week 1, I'm going to choose these little buttons over here. I'm going to edit my module. I'm going to turn off my lock until. I'm going to make sure that that module is published. Okay, now I should be all right. Okay, so student view. Now when my student comes in, they'll go to a home page. They'll click on that assignment right there. They will see the worksheet, so they can write the answers on a sheet of notebook paper. They will see the video that we've embedded. They can watch that video right from here. They don't have to download anything. They don't need the YouTube app. They can just go ahead and make sure that they have access to everything from their cell phones or their laptops or their tablets. And then what they're going to do is up at the top, they're going to see a submit button. So that green submit assignment is what we're going to model for our students. So a kindergartner is not going to know how to submit an assignment until we show them. So as we're using this Canvas in class, we're going to have our homepage up on the smartboard. Any videos we show the class, we're going to go through Canvas to show the videos. Any instructions that we do to the class, we're going to go through Canvas to show them that. So we're going to kind of model how to navigate and how to use this. We're also going to model how to submit an assignment. So we may do an assignment together in class where they have the worksheet in front of them, but you're going to show them on that smartboard how they would find that assignment on Canvas, how they would complete that assignment, and then how they would submit it. And you can model all of this for them so that when or if we have a distance learning situation, they know what to do. You're like, mommy, Mrs. A, she always hits that green button. That's what we have to do, okay? So we are going to take that and we are going to do any of the options that we allowed the students to do. They can do a file upload. So if they're on their phone, they can take a picture and they can upload it. They can type the answers. They can do, I learned that things can explode. I think that's pretty much all Bill Nye the Science Guy does is blow things up, okay? They can do media. Oh my gosh, if you teach kindergarten, you're going to love this. So the little kids would hit the record, upload media, and they could start recording themselves using their webcam or their microphone. And they can be like, oh, hi, Mrs. Argerbright, let me show you my kitty cat, but here's what I learned. And they can perform, you know, their ABCs or their skip counting or anything that you need them to. So those are always super cute to grade. All right. So we are just going to do a text entry, and then we're also going to do a file upload. So let's say they work all of this out. They take a picture of it, they submit it. I'm just choosing an addition chart just to have something to assign. And they submit that assignment. They will always get confetti. So again, model that in the classroom. Even the older kids, they're like, I got the confetti. So that will show them that they submitted it successfully, and just let them know it's not submitted until you see that confetti. So now let's take a look at what it looks like from the teacher's side. So I've made an assignment. The students have completed it. I'm going to come in here and grade it. So I can do this a couple ways. I can go directly to the grade book and do everything all at once. Okay. If I go to my dashboard, I have a to-do list just like students. Okay. So I'm going to have a to-do list of all of the assignments. There's the one we just did. There's the grade assignment. So these are all of the submissions that I need to grade. So I can access it from here. When I'm in the course, I can go directly to the assignment and access it. So whatever you're most familiar with, okay? So I'm going to go to the assignment. I'm going to come over here to SpeedGrader. Now, if you'll see here, it tells you I have one submission. I have not graded it. So it's going to tell you what your status is. So if we're in a distance learning situation, one thing that we learned in the high school was that kids do their work at different rates, at different levels. And so you might have a student that finishes their assignment before 8 a.m. every day that it's assigned, and then you may have one that waits for 2 weeks and then tries to get everything done. So this will kind of give you your status so you don't forget to grade something. All right, so we're going to open this up in SpeedGrader. And I know I only have about 2 minutes left in this session, but I definitely want to show you SpeedGrader because this was a game changer for me. Okay, so this is the submission that the test student did. So anytime you do something as a student view, it's going to show up as a test student. If this were an actual rostered course, all of your students would be listed in alphabetical order by section, and you could just go through and grade one at a time and just knock it out. So this assignment right here, this is the submission that they put in, okay? They also had a text submission, okay? So we've got this addition chart that they downloaded. Now, we can give their grade right here. Okay, they did the assignment, they get 100 out of 100. We can put a little comment here. Great job. We can record a video of us giving them some immediate feedback. So we can record a video of us saying, oh my goodness, Johnny, you did a great job. I'm so proud of you. So they still have that contact with us, that feedback, which is so important to some of these little kids. But guys, all of this can be accessed from your cell phone. So there's a great question. How do we show which ones they missed? If you have inking, you can highlight it or ink it, okay? And you can annotate on this. If not, you'll just have to do the assignments in the comments and say number 4 is incorrect, or go look at number 5 again. That's going to depend on what device you're using to grade this. I like to do this on my cell phone or my tablet while I'm sitting at line waiting for my kids to get out of practice, or while I'm at a game, you know, at halftime, whatever. So one of the biggest things about this is that you can pull this up on the Teacher Canvas app, do your speed grader right there, go through, type your comments, record a little review, do your grades, all right there. So it definitely is going to make your job more mobile as well. So you don't have to bring home 50 sheets of paper every day. You don't have to, you know, keep track of missing assignments or late assignments or absent work. Everything's going to be right here. And it'll show you when they submitted it. And if it was after the due date, it'll show you that it was after the due date. Okay, so I still have more to go over on assignments because there's so much to do with the assignments. I do want to show you how to do a homepage. I know we started off with that and we kind of got sidetracked. So can parents see their work? Yes, parents can see the work that they have submitted. They can see your comments and they can see the grades. So they're able to get that feedback as well. So it's 11 o'clock. We have a lunch break. So we will be meeting back here at 1 o'clock for session 3. If you have any questions, I'm going to leave this session open the entire time. So keep filling in that chat room with any questions that you have. I'm going to hang out here for about another 20 minutes and answer those questions. And then when I come back in, I'll go ahead and get the rest. But we will be ready to start right at 1 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Where is that? Where is the confetti? Yeah.